2 weeks ago, I made a video claiming that Oracle is the stock that you should be paying a lot of attention to because this is the next AI stock that is going to shoot to the roof. 2 weeks later, Oracle stock rises by about 40%. In fact, Oracle is one of the fastest growing stocks and one of the best performing stocks of 2025. I was expecting Oracle to grow, but to be honest, even I'm surprised that it has grown this fast. A 40% increase in less than 2 weeks, that's amazing. In fact, since April of this year, Oracle has grown by about 150%, which makes it one of the best performing stocks in recent years. In fact, it makes it as great as Nvidia. Even if you missed your opportunity and you did not invest, for example, in the S&P 500 in 2020, 2021, 2022, and just invested in Oracle in April of this year, imagine how much money you could have made. I will explain why Oracle stock has grown this much and whether it's worth buying it and when exactly you should buy it. In fact, this is the biggest increase in Oracle stock since 1990s, because last time it has grown this much was during the dot-com revolution. The stock has grown from less than $4 to as much as $46. That's a 1200% increase, which made it one of the best investment opportunities of the dot-com era. However, after that, it has crashed. And that's the problem with these kind of hypes. If you're investing and there is a lot of hype in the market and you cannot possibly time the market, you're going to lose everything. And that's why it's extremely important to invest in stocks that are going to grow in the long run. For example, if you just take Oracle, yes, it has crashed after that. However, if you look at the big picture, since then, Oracle stock has been one of the best performing stocks of all time. Even if you purchased Oracle at the peak of the internet revolution, you would still have made a lot of money because since then it has grown to over $300. And there is a probability that Oracle is going to become a $2 trillion, $3 trillion, or maybe even a $4 trillion company over the next couple of decades. What's happening now is very similar to what has been happening back in 1990s. In fact, if you literally pull out all the rich people today, you'll find out that almost all of them made their money during the dot-com era, and because they have invested in the right companies back in 1990s and early 2000s, that's why they are the richest people today. I mean, this is Forbes Billionaires list. Of course, Elon Musk became the richest person first by creating PayPal and then took that money and invested it in Tesla and SpaceX and so on and so forth. But everyone else on the list also made their money because of the dot-com revolution. Larry Ellison, Jeff Bezos, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, you name it. The only two people on this list are Warren Buffett and Bernard Arnault. Even Warren Buffett made his money out of technology. The best investment in the history of Warren Buffett was an investment into Apple. And if he did not invest in Apple back in 2015 and 16 or something like that, he wouldn't be on the Forbes Billionaires list as one of the richest people in the world. Even if the people that missed the dot-com revolution and still invested in technology companies after that still ended up becoming some of the richest people in the world. So what we are seeing right now is literally once in a lifetime opportunity, because something like that is not going to happen. If you actually make the right investments today, you will find yourself making so much money that you cannot possibly imagine. From 1995 to early 2000s, 500 internet companies went public. Just imagine the number of companies that were internet companies that did not go public, but only a few of them actually survived, such as Google, Nvidia, eBay, PayPal, Amazon. And the founders of these companies became, of course, the richest people in the world. However, they are not the only ones. Everyone else who has also invested in these companies also became some of the richest people in the world. They not necessarily made like billions of dollars like the founders, but they made hundreds of millions of dollars. At the same time, it was very difficult to actually find out which of these companies are going to be the survival ones, which of these companies are going to make it beyond the dot-com bubble. Take, for example, Priceline.com. Jay Walker founded the company, and at its peak, it made the founder of this company one of the richest people in the world and put him at the Forbes Billionaires list. But he was very smart. He cashed out before the bubble burst. Even though that the company still exists today, it's nowhere close to as big as it was back in the days. So what we're seeing right now is very similar to the dot-com revolution. So internet connected people all across the globe. It connected businesses. It simply made it much faster and much more efficient to connect with one another. If in 1990s you would want to communicate with somebody, it was very difficult. Today, you can pull out your phone, video call somebody on the other side of the planet, and voila, you have effective communication. Even if you go to early 2000s, when everybody was having those, little Blackberries with an entire keyboard on the screen, it's very difficult to imagine how far we have come. Every business person back in the days had a Blackberry because it was very efficient to type an email. But why type an email when you could pull out your phone and video call somebody on the other side of the world? It actually made it much easier to access information globally. If you want to find out something, just pull out your phone or pull out your computer and Google something. You have an entire Wikipedia where you can find any information that you want. So it made the cost of information and the cost of communication so cheap that it made us all much more productive. And that's why it allowed companies to become trillion-dollar companies. Like the largest company back in 1990s was probably ExxonMobil. And ExxonMobil used to worth $300 or $400 billion. It was extracting oil. It was one of the largest companies back in the days. And if you are an investor, you cannot possibly imagine ExxonMobil to become a $1 trillion company or $5 trillion companies because it simply wouldn't make that much money. But because internet has increased our productivity so much, it allowed for companies to make that much money. Now take this and compare it to what AI is doing to the world today. It's doing pretty much the exact same thing in a very different way. It is automating thinking tasks. So if you want to solve an equation, you can do that. You can pull out the calculator and you can do the math and it will take you some time. Or you can ask AI and it will do the exact same for you in a fraction of the second. You see, back in college, when I was studying accounting and finance, we used to create financial statements, we used to analyze them, and it would take a lot of time. And when I thought that when I graduate, I will go and work for some kind of Deloitte or KPMG or one of those auditing companies. But now you can do all of that in a fraction of a second. You don't even need auditors. Of course, you need a human auditor at the end of the day to check everything. But imagine how much it speeds up the task of thinking. So it's basically increasing your productivity as much as internet increased the productivity of businesses by connecting people, by making communication much easier, much more efficient, and much more cheaper. If internet created $2 trillion companies, $3 trillion companies, AI is going to create $20 trillion companies, $30 trillion companies, $40 trillion companies. Just now, because even Elon Musk is trying to reshape the image of Tesla and is trying to present Tesla as a robotics and AI company, and they just came out with a plan, with a compensation package that Elon will take Tesla to become a $10 trillion company with that compensation package of $1 trillion. And the only way that is possible is for them to sell AI services. And that's why both of them are actually massively increasing the productivity. So here's why Oracle stock actually grew by 40%. They signed a deal with OpenAI, a $300 billion deal with Oracle. The only way to power AI, you need computer chips, and you need a lot of these computer chips. And that's why they're building those huge data centers that are going to power the entire AI. If you go to ChatGPT today and you type something, a request, there is a lot of computer power that is needed for that request to be completed. So you need those data centers. Back in 1990s and early 2000s, when we came out with the internet, you also needed those data centers in order to host websites, to host the entire internet. So if you pull out Netflix and you watch a show, where do you think that show is being hosted? On Amazon Web Services, which was the key reasons that made Amazon such a successful company. If it wasn't for Amazon Web Services, you would not have Amazon today, because that sector of Amazon was so profitable that it allowed or funded the entire Amazon and made it one of the most successful companies today. So we need the exact same thing today. So I could easily imagine that Oracle is going to build those data centers, and Oracle is going to spend $40 billion buying NVIDIA's computer chips and will build the data centers in order to power OpenAI. But here is the second most interesting thing. In that video, I claimed that Oracle, if you know anything about Oracle's business model, they're providing databases and they're also providing with software to analyze the databases. So if you're a business, you need databases and softwares to control all of that. And that's what Oracle does. And I was imagining that Oracle is going to introduce an AI in order to make those softwares much more efficient. So if you have all this data right in front of you, and if you have AI that is going to help you to analyze that data much more accurately, much more efficiently, you are going to improve the efficiency of your business. So I was imagining that Oracle is going to come up with their own AI to make that possible. However, by signing this deal with OpenAI, they're basically going to integrate ChatGPT 5 into all of Oracle's databases, which will allow businesses to save more money, target better audience, become much more profitable and much more efficient. The real question is, what is going to happen next? During this AI revolution that is happening, we are going to have two types of companies. The short-term stocks. These are the stocks that will benefit enormously in the short run. You will see them literally being extremely overvalued, becoming the most meme stock that you can possibly imagine. But the moment everything is over, or the moment this hype is over, you will find most of these stocks crashing to the bottom because they're not backed by real earnings. And then there are going to be a few companies that will be the survival ones, that will make it to the top. Just like Amazon was one of the companies that survived the dot-com revolution and the dot-com bubble and became such a successful company. And we have only a few handful of them. And that's why So you cannot possibly time the market. You don't know when this bubble is going to burst. So for example, Nvidia, it's not so much overvalued because it's backed by strong earnings. But Palantir is extremely overvalued because it's not backed by strong earnings. So you don't know which of these companies to invest. And you cannot possibly even time the market and know for a fact when everything is going to crash. And that's why it's extremely important to invest in those companies that have the strongest foundations, just like a few companies that survived the dot-com burst and dominated the internet and became $2 or $3 trillion companies. We are going to have a few companies that will dominate AI. But unlike internet companies that became $2 or $3 trillion companies, I can easily imagine how these AI companies are going to become $20 trillion companies, $30 trillion companies. So in order to ensure that you're not going to miss this AI revolution, you should not just, sit beside and just watch how everything is growing. Yes, at the same time, you should not be jumping and buying all of those overvalued stocks. And that's why you have to do your analysis, find out, for example, the top 10 companies that have the best chance to dominate AI and buy them gradually. So even if a couple of them are going to crash, but a few of them are going to make it to the top, you are still going to make a lot of money. Either you are going to invent something in AI and dominate this industry, or you have to be an investor in order to profit out of it. So just like today's richest people are the people who invested in dot-com and internet companies of 1990s, tomorrow's rich people are going to be the ones who are investing today in AI stocks. And if you want a full breakdown of Oracle, a full breakdown of Nvidia, or you want to learn how you can actually analyze those companies and find their valuation and find out as an investor in which of these companies you should be investing, I do live full breakdown of these companies. And if you want to know more about our community of investors, then check out the first link in the description of this video. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.